Good morning, children. We are going to discuss about mutation theory. Already we started yesterday and I told about what is mutation. Okay, mutation theory. Okay, what is mutation and sudden changes in the gene frequencies are called mutations. Okay, first Hugo De Vries is a scientist who worked on Unothiana lamarckiana. So the plant and he observed so many changes in the plant. Okay, and the sudden changes responsible for the new species. These mutations only responsible for the new species, and some variations only main reason for the arrival of new species. Like that, this mutation theory will tell. And now in this class, we discussing about silent silent futures of silent futures of mutation theory. We are going to discuss about silent futures of mutation theory. First point we are going to discuss. Mutations are what you called mutations are first point. Mutations are discontinuous 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 variations are variations mutations are discontinuous variations are uh, transmitted to other generations transmitted to uh, to other generations. This point you should have to remember, transmitted to other generations. Number one. Number two, it naturally breeding population. It in naturally, okay, breeding is there. Naturally breeding populations. Naturally breeding populations. Okay, mutations. Mutations occur from time to time. Occur from time to time. This point also you should have to remember. Next one, there are no intermediate forms. There are no intermediate forms. Intermediate forms. Okay, these are all points you should have to remember as they are fully fledged. So, as they are fully fledged, fully fledged. This point also you should have to remember, fully fledged. Next, they are strictly subjected to. Next point we are I'm writing strictly subjected to natural selection. Strictly subjected to what we call natural selection. These are about mutation theory silent features. Next one, modern what we called modern synthetic theory. This point you should have to remember. Next theory is modern synthetic theory. So who are the scientists? Civil Wright. Next, Civil Wright. Fisher. Next, Mayer. Next, Huxley. Next, Dobzhansky. Simpson, and Haeckel. These all are scientists. Okay, explained about natural selection in the. They all are explained about natural selection. Natural selection in the what we called the light of post post Darwinian discoveries. Discoveries. So like this explained. These all scientists explained, okay, natural selection in the light of post-Darwinian, okay, discoveries. Next one, the gene. According to this theory, gene mutations. Gene mutations. Number one, gene mutations. Number two, chromosomal mutations. Okay, chromosomal mutations. This point also you should have to remember. Chromosomal mutations. Number three, what is called genetic recombinations. Genetic recombinations. Okay, genetic recombinations. Next one, what is called natural selection. Natural selection. Next, what is another important one? Natural selection and reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation. These all points you should have to remember. These all are only five factors. Okay, these five factors in the process of organic, recall, organic evolution. These five factors only. These five factors only. Main reason for what? Organic evolutions, like that. That's it. So first we will discuss in the gene mutations. Okay, children, observe very carefully. In the previous class, mutation theory we discussed. Now silent features of mutations we are discussing. The silent features mainly mutations are discontinuous, variations are transmitted to other generations. So mutations can be transfer or variations are transmitted to one generation to another generations. What is the first point? In naturally breeding populations, so naturally breeding populations, the mutations occur from time to time. So normally when they will breed, the time the mutations also will be happen in the what you call naturally breeding populations. Next, changes. Mutations means what? Sudden changes. Time to time will happen. There are no intermediate forms. So direct mutation, one mutation form to another mutation. That's it. Another generation. That's it. There is no intermediate form as they are fully fledged. No intermediate forms at all. They are strictly subjected to natural selection. Nature only will select the perfect mutated, what is called species, perfect mutations. So this theory proposed by mutation theory by Hugo de Vries. So this is about what is called mutation theory. What are the first one? Mutations discontinuous, variations are transmitted other generations. In naturally breeding populations, mutations occur from time to time. There are no intermediate forms as they are fully fledged, strictly subjected to natural selection. These are the mutation theory points. Next one, modern synthetic theory. In the name itself, answer is there, moderic. So who are the scientists? Sevelwright, Fisher, Mayer, Huxley, Dobzhansky, Simpson, Haeckel, all are the scientists explained about natural selection in the light of post-Darwinian discoveries. So they all are, because of Darwin's theories, they also worked togetherly and explained about modern synthetic theory. What they discovered, what are the reasons for the organic evolution? They said gene mutations, chromosomal mutations. If the change happened in the genes, gene mutations. In chromosome number or chromosome structure, if any changes are happening, those are called chromosome mutations. So combine of variety of genes, that is called genetic recombinations. Nature selects the new species reproductively. Which one is a good reproductive capacity, that one will be separate and will perform new one, new produce a new one. These all are gene mutations, chromosomal mutations, genetic recombinations, natural selection, reproductive isolation. These all are five factors for what is called evolution. They called organic evolution, like that they said. Now we are going to discuss about one by one. What is gene mutation? What is chromosomal mutation? What is genetic recombination? What is natural selection and reproductive isolation in the modern synthetic theory? We will be discussing. What are the five factors for organic evolution? Number one, genetic mutation, chromosomal mutations, genetic recombinations, natural selection, reproductive isolations. First, we will discuss about genetic mutations. Genetic mutations. Gene mutations. Gene mutation. What is gene mutation? We will be discussing. Change in the structure of the gene. Change in the structure of genes. Change in the structure of genes is called gene mutation. It's also called gene or point mutation. One particular gene only changed in the sense that is called gene or point mutation. It alters which one alters the phenotype, external character. Now phenotype means external character. Phenotype of an organism. Okay, phenotype of an organism. Okay, and produces variations in the offsprings. Variations in what you call offsprings. This point you should have to. Next, most important thing is chromosomal mutations. What you call chromosomal mutations. In the name itself, answer is there. Mutations happen in the chromosomes. Changes in the happen. So changes in the what you call changes in the structure of chromosome. Changes in the structure of what you called chromosomes. Changes in the structure of chromosomes due to deletion, addition, duplication, deletion, addition, duplication, inversion, or translocation. Okay, these points you should have to remember. Translocation. So deletion means any part will be deleted. Addition means any additional part attached. Duplication, same as it is copy of chromosome. Inversion, another chromosome inserted in the main chromosome. Or translocation, spaces will be changed in the sense that kind of these all changes are called what you called changes in the structure of chromosomes. These are only chromosomal mutations. These two alter the phenotype. These chromosomal mutations also alters the phenotype. Alters the phenotype. Okay, of an organism. Phenotype of an organism. This point you should have to remember, of an organism, and produces variation in their offsprings. Produces variation in the offsprings. Because of these mutations in the chromosomes also, variations will come in offsprings. That point you should have to remember. The next one, genetic recombination. In the name itself, answer is there. Recombining of genetic materials, genes. Okay, is due to crossing over genes of crossing over. Okay, very very important. Crossing over of genes during meiosis. You know very well. Chiasmata formation is there or not? That one you know very well. In the cell division will become. So crossing over of genes during meiosis, this genetic recombination will be takes place. This brings about genetic variations. Because of this crossing over, what will happen? Genetic variations also will be come in the individual of the same species. Genetic variations in the individuals of same species same, but the individuals have genetic variations because of this genetic recombination. Okay, and leads to heritable variations. It leads to what is that? Heritable, what is called, variations. It is also leads to heritable variations. The next one, what is the next one in this modern synthetic theory? What is that one? Natural selection. What is called? Natural selection. This point you should have to remember. Natural selection does not produce any genetic variations. Does not produce any genetic variation. This point also you should have to remember. It does not produce any genetic variation. Okay, then and most important, what such once variations occur, it favors some genetic changes, but very very important. But once such variations occur, once such variations, what you called variations occur, but once such variations occur, it favors, it favors some genetic changes, some genetic some genetic changes. This point you should have to remember. Some genetic changes while rejecting others. While rejecting others. Okay, what is the meaning of this? While rejecting others means again survival of the fittest. Okay, that one will be some variations will create the fitness. That fitness only can give the what you call perfect life to them. Some genetic changes will be rejects while rejecting others. Some these changes which have good changes they can only survive like that. Next one, reproductive isolation. What is the next one? Reproductive isolation. What is reproductive isolation? This point you have to remember. Helps in preventing interbreeding between related organisms. Prevents interbreeding in between same. Okay, interbreeding between interbreeding. This point you should have to interbreeding between between related organisms. Related organisms. So which one is this? Reproductive isolation is there in the sense we can prevent the interbreeding between, interbreeding the same or in between different species. The breeding we can separate, we can in between different species the breeding we can stop. If suppose separate the what you call reproductively separate the some particular species, in the sense you can prevent the interbreeding between related organisms. Okay children, once listen carefully. Gene mutation. What is gene mutation? You know very well. This is a DNA. Adenine bind with thymine, guanine. Okay, like that is there. Okay, otherwise you see adenine always bind with thymine, guanine always bind with cytosine. Instead of cytosine, suppose here A means, what will happen? This is called mutation. So this kind of single what we call change in the structure of genes, then what will happen? That is only called gene or point mutation. Because of that change, for example, sickle cell anemia, what will happen? Alters the phenotype of an organism and produce variations in offsprings. That is called gene mutations. Variations means new characters, new changes will be produced in the offsprings. Next, chromosomal mutation. Same. Changes in the structure of chromosomes due to deletion, part of the chromosome deleted, or what you call addition, some parts added to that chromosome. Duplication, same as this chromosome formed in the sense inversions, what you called the time of another chromosome inserted in the sense or translocation movement of the what you call part of the chromosome. This all leads to chromosomal mutations. These chromosomal mutations alters the again external features of an organism and produce the variations in the offsprings. Next one, genetic recombination. Crossing over of genes during meiosis. You know very well. One chromosome, this is one chromosome. So this is another chromosome. What will happen? Crossing over will be takes place. For example, observe very carefully. This is a one chromosome. This is a another chromosome. Crossing over like this. Crossing over is going on in the sense genetic recombination. These genes enter into here, this genes enter into this chromosome. What will happen? So genetic variation, genetic recombination will be takes place that leads to genetic variations and individuals of same species. So what will happen? Genetic variations are happens in individual of same species, individuals of same species, and they will be heritable variations. They can transfer to next offsprings also. The next one, what is the next one? Natural selection does not produce any genetic variation, no gene related, but once such variation occur, it favors some genetic changes while rejecting others. So other changes will be rejected by the nature, which one is good and favor, okay, which are good favorable, some genetic changes only will be accepted by the nature. That's why that is called natural selection. What is that? Does not produce any genetic variation, but once such variations occur, it favors some genetic changes while rejecting others. Other changes will not happen, only those changes only will continue by selecting by the nature. Next, reproductive isolation. So which one is the best breed, which one is the best what do you call species? So they will identify, and in between them we will do reproduction process. And it also, reproductive isolation prevents the interbreeding between related organisms. It will stops the breeding process in the related organisms. So like this, gene mutations, what do you call gene mutations, chromosomal mutations, and what do you call genetic recombinations and natural selections are the main reason for main concepts of modern synthetic theory. The next important thing is natural selection. Natural selection we are going to discuss. Natural selection. Natural selection. What is natural selection? We are going to discuss. Next, evolutionary or evolution, very important. Evolution by anthropogenic sources, means man. Anthropogenic means man related. Next, what is that one? Natural selection. Natural selection. Natural selection, it is also called industrial melanism. Very important concept. Industrial melanism. So this natural selection clearly explained by the which one is industrial melanism. Okay. First one, peppered moth. Peppered moth. Peppered moth. The scientific name is Biston betularia. Biston betularia. Biston betularia. These are available in two colors. So available in two colors. What are the two colors? Number one is white and number two is black. Okay, before industrialization, where it happened, in England. Okay, this happened in England. This process completely. What happened in England, we are going to see. First case, before industrialization. Observe very carefully. Before industrialization, peppered moth, both white and black, common in England. White and black moths are common. Both are common in England. Common in England. Both are common. Okay. Now, pre-industrialization. Okay. Pre-industrialization. Pre-industrialization. What happened? You see. Okay. Pre-industrialization. White colored background of the wall of white color background. Okay. White color background will be there of the wall of the buildings. Hence white color background of the walls. One of the important. Okay. Pre-industrialization. So then which one? White moths are escaped. White moths are escaped. White moths are what you called? White moths escaped. Okay. White moths are escaped from their predators. Escaped from their predators. This point you should have to remember, from their predators. First one. Next one, post-industrialization. That is pre. Now what will happen is in the post-industrialization. Okay, the post-industrialization conditions. What happened? You know very well. Tree trunks and walls. Tree trunks and walls become, what happened? Tree trunks are dark. Due to, you know very well what is the reason for the dark? Smoke and soot and smoke. Okay. Now what happened? The black moths camouflaged on the black moths. Black moths camouflaged. Camo, very important word. Camouflaged. Okay, this point you should have to remember. So camouflaged on dark brown. So at that time what happened? White moths easily what happened? White moths are easily identified by predators. Identified by the predators. Because background is black, white moths easily will be identified by the predators. Hence the dark color population is more. Dark color moths population is more. Okay, population is more. Okay, next one. When compared to the nature offered positive selection pressure to the positive selection. Nature only selected positive way, or what? Black. Positive selection happened. So these are adapt organisms that can adapt will survive. Organisms adapt new conditions. Organisms adapt new conditions in the sense they will be survive. Nature is new conditions. Then nature will be select. So nature will select those, and this is natural selection, natural adaptation. New conditions which will adapt to nature will, those species are selected by nature. This is about what we called natural selection. Okay children, observe very carefully. This is the most important anthropogenic, evolution by anthropogenic. Anthropogenic means you know very well, man. Man related involvement in the evolution process. For example, how nature, anthropogenic source of natural selection we are discussing in that industrial melanism. In this industrial melanism related to the natural selection, but involvement of man is there. For example, here I am telling peppered moth. The peppered moth, the scientific name of peppered moth is Biston betularia. Biston medullaria. The two colors, the Biston medullaria, two colors are there, white and black. In England, what happened you see? Before industrialization, white and black moths are common. So both are common. Pre-industrialization, white color background. See now, white color background. This is a white color background. So if you keep the white one is there in the sense, it will be not visible to the predators. So the white one, what you call white, will be escape from the predator, and the population of white one is more. But when you see post-industrialization, after industrialization, what happened? Complete the background become the walls background and everything become black. Now what is there in this background? Which one will be easily visible? White will be visible. What do you call? White will be visible. This one is what you called easily identified by the whom the predators. The white pepper moths are vanished, and black only survived. So these black only continued their race and offspring. So this black camouflage, unable to see by the predators. Then black color or dark color moths, okay, population increases. This is called positive selection of natural selection. This black adapting the new conditions. That's why whatever the nature created, those nature according to the nature they conducted the new species. So those species identified by are selected by the natural selection. This is one of the best example for natural selection. Background white can escape. Background black, what you called, white will not escape. Black can escape and select by the nature. Thank you children. Next class we will meet with another topic.